So now that you've made sense of your data, you've made sense of your results, and have written a discussion or conclusion, there's one last part of an experimental write-up that is very, very important. So there are 4 pieces to every single experiment, and that is called the control, the constant, the independent variable, and the dependent variable. You need these 4 things in any experiment to show that whatever results that you obtain, whatever results you get, can be trusted, that they can be accurate results. So this is here in place as sort of a double check to make sure that the experiment you designed actually gives you results that you can trust. So for a control in an experiment, this is what you are comparing against the independent variable. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. So another way to think about it, if we come over to this side, is the group that's not like the other groups. It's there to make sure that, like I said, the results you're getting are accurate results. So in this case, for my experiment, it would be group number 1, because they got no red 40. So all the other groups, they got red 40, but I had a water only group to make sure that the environment wasn't giving them red 40, the environment wasn't giving them cancer, the food wasn't giving them cancer, nothing else was giving these mice cancer except red 40. So that's what the control is there for. Next up is the constant. And this is everything that's kept the same between all the groups. So you're always looking for the word same or similar when you are looking for a constant. So my examples in my experiment are my mice. Every group had 250 mice. Each group had the same amount of mice. They all had 250. And they all got the same amount of food and the same amount of water. Like I said, the type of water they got is what was changing. So those are all of my constants in my experiment. My independent variable, this is the thing that I'm testing during my experiment, or the thing that I'm changing between groups. So when you are reading, you are looking for the word changing or the word different between groups. And my personal independent variable here was the amount of red 40. That was what was changing between the groups. So group 2 got 25% red 40, group 3 got 50% red 40, and group 4 got 100% red 40. The last portion here, the dependent variable, this is your expected outcome, or what you are measuring during your experiment. So in my experiment, I was measuring if mice got cancer or not. So that would be my dependent variable. Over here, what it's saying is that if you are reading an experiment, if you're looking for the dependent variable, you're generally looking for the word measure or record. That's another word you can look for. But that will tell you what a dependent variable is. You're looking for the expected outcome. So let me summarize this. Ready? So in my experiment, I had one group that was not like the others. That was group number 1. They only got water. I had that group to make sure that the red 40 is what was causing cancer and not anything else in the experiment. Now, between all the groups, I kept everything else the same. We had the same amount of mice. They were all the same type of mouse. And they all got the same amount of food, the same amount of water. They were in the same environment. Everything else was kept the same except my independent variable, except the amount of red 40 that each group got. So groups 2, 3, and 4 got different amounts of red 40. Group number 1, our control group, got no red 40. So my independent variable is changed from group to group. Lastly, my dependent variable is what I was measuring, my expected outcome, and that was the mice that got cancer. I was expecting mice to get cancer during the experiment because I was measuring how many of them developed cancer. So what I'm going to ask you to do is look at your experiment that you developed. I know you didn't have to write the results section, and you wrote the discussion and conclusion for my experiment. But going back to your experiment, I'm going to ask you to figure out what your control is, what your constants are, what your independent variable is, and what your dependent variable is. And we will be getting more practice with these probably in the next activity or within a couple activities. So like I said, take a moment, fill out your control, constant, independent variable, and dependent variable. Once you've done that, you are all set with this activity. Thank you guys so much for participating and tuning in. And hopefully we will be able to actually use this practically in a classroom eventually when we can meet in person.